the debate that happened last night between DeSantis and Haley.
Yeah.
Which I got a lot of thoughts on that debate last night. And Rob, I don't know if you have any of the videos or not. It was not pretty. Right off the bat, you could tell these two don't like each other. It was calling out character. It was from the. And by the way, even if you open up if you type in, find DeSantis' opening, okay, just purely his opening. He dropped bomb after bomb after bomb on Haley. It wasn't even like, let's wait 19 minutes to get into it. Let's wait 7 minutes to get into it. Nothing. Boom! Right. He hit her. And not once. It was like a boxer just coming in like with them and boom, 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 boom. Yeah. It's like, holy shit. And then she realized, because I think the reason why he did that, and Rob, if you have the opening, I wouldn't mind playing it. Is that the opening?
It is. I'm getting
dude, I loved his opening. If we can get it, I'd love to play the clip of the opening. I know it's see if you can do that right there. Go all the way to the top. See if it's not refreshing. Just
that's
playing. Still doing that.
It's kind of like when Vivek came out with his opening, red hot in Miami at the debate.
Ronna McDaniel and calling out.
Oh, it was fantastic. But when you see it, you're gonna think about, why would he come out so strong? Right after he says that, guess what Nikki Haley drops?
What?
She says, go to DeSantisLies.com. Yep. Go to DeSantisLies.com. She probably said DeSantisLies.com 30 times.
Did you see the traffic the website got? 7 people signed up for that website now. It's big time.
7?
Up DeSantis.
It was non-stop traffic, non-stop of her promoting this website. But I think he got a wind that she was going to come hard and calling out his character for the trust and the lies. And I think she was going to go hardcore after him. I want to see this clip. But do me a favor, go to Twitter, a poll I ran last night right after the debate. Go to a poll I ran last night right after the debate. Just a poll I ran, okay? Just vote on one of them, whatever. Choose, okay? All right, so watch this. Who do you trust more? Look at that. 26,000 people voted. Okay, look at Haley.
1.8%. That's
like,
below the margin of error.
I put neither because some people are going to be like, well, Vivek and Trump and RFK and all this stuff.
Don't force me into a choice.
Yeah. But 30-1, people do not trust Haley. But Haley's got the big dollars that she's getting. She was able to get the big dollars, and they walked away from DeSantis. He called them out on it, on the $150 million that you've spent, and he's just upset that he lost the money, and they came to you. And I don't know. I watched the whole thing, and I said, DeSantis is 10 times more presidential than Haley is. It ain't even close to me in my eyes.
I fully agree with you. Yeah. I think if given the choice of these two options, so let's just be clear, this is the JV option right there. This is not the heavyweight fight. This is the lightweight bout. But these two lightweights went on stage, and I would vote for DeSantis 100 times out of 100 over Nikki Haley, no question. But this was a pummeling of two political lightweights. This was a sloppy food fight in the political arena, but instead of tossing mashed potatoes and gravy and green beans, they tossed lies, name-calling, and call-outs. And it was ugly, and it just goes to show, I kind of understand why Trump basically was like, yeah, I'm good on these debates. I'm above the fray here. I'll do my measured town halls. I'll do my thing with Tucker, like you remember the first debate, without jumping on the stage with this. Now Christie's out. Vivek, our boy, he should have been on stage. Where was he? You got Nikki and you got Ron just calling each other out. The best line that I think that Nikki had against DeSantis was the mismanagement of $150 million. She said, you were given $150 million and you mismanaged the hell out of it, Ron. Basically, how the hell are you going to handle a $26 trillion GDP or a $34 trillion deficit that we got going on debt in America? They're both quick. They both know their stuff. They both came prepared. But there seems to be a credibility issue with Nikki.
There's a video of her, Nikki, saying recently where she's on stage and she's talking about how much Hillary Clinton was one of the people.
Did you just say Hillary Clinton?
Inspiration.
Did I say kill? I don't know why. That might
be Hillary.
It might have been a Freudian slip, but she's using. If you use Hillary Clinton as inspiration, this is what you get. That attitude, that bitterness, and no wonder why Trump got rid of her.
I saw two things happen last night for me when I looked at this. First of all, when I saw Pat's poll coming in, it said to me, you know what? The people that are out there, and we're talking about the people that follow Pat, so don't tell me, oh, it's not a broad poll. No, that's enough of a poll to tell you the feelings are out there. Vivek's been talking about it, and he was the one that said Dick Cheney in heels. She's an establishment candidate. That was not mudslinging. That has turned out to be 100% true. She's uncloaked and exposed to everybody.
Oh, damn.
And the voters are saying, I don't want the establishment, and I don't want forever wars, and I don't want this. And the voters are saying, I don't want you. But what Pat just said, yeah, the billionaires are getting behind her. Who? Establishment billionaires that want the establishment to continue, status quo to continue. So the first thing that happened to me is it was, thank God, I think some of the voters are paying attention to this, at least by Pat's poll. But who the hell is polling in New Hampshire and Iowa where she's getting traction? Maybe people are realizing it. The other thing I saw on a less crowded stage, you saw DeSantis as the knowledgeable, argued, good structured, argued policy wonk. I agree it was a food fight and it was sloppy and messy, but there was one moment there, it was on the immigration, where DeSantis absolutely took down Nikki Haley. This is what you did in South Carolina. This is what you did with China and the relationships. This is what you did here. And it wasn't these, election year spin claims. It was hard facts. And I said, you know what? That's the governor of Florida that a lot of people in Florida, including me, voted for and liked the guy because he's such a good policy guy and he's such a driven guy. But he's not presidential, but he looked more presidential than she did. But it was a food fight. But there is a glimpse in there of the guy that the people of Florida have seen, and that's why we elected him.
Last point, when you actually want to look at the actual agenda, there has to be a pathway to the presidency. We all know this. So the first three states, we know Iowa's next week, dude. Like, let the games begin. Iowa's next week. By the way, it's like the coldest it's ever been in Iowa this week.
Freezing.
The weather's been ridiculous. Yeah. Good call, PPD, not going to Iowa. I don't know. I think something better here in South Florida.
Thank you.
But the three states that are coming up are Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. If Ron DeSantis does not come in first or second in Iowa, he's finished. Because he's not polling well in New Hampshire. Nikki's polling well in New Hampshire. Chris Christie just jumped out of the race. A lot of his 12% that he's winning in New Hampshire might come to her. She might give Trump a run for her money in New Hampshire. We'll see. But then the third state is South Carolina. That's Nikki's home state. She was the governor of South Carolina. So her pathway looks a lot better if DeSantis fumbles in Iowa.
No, Rob, none of these videos are working.
Is that weird?
You know why? Because from my end, they're all working here.
I don't. I have a message in our tech team to find out why.
Do you know? Are you able to show the other one I sent you, or none of them are showing?
Those two are not working for some reason. Everything else is, though.
Really, those two are not working. So there's one of the clips. Well, if you can't play it there, what I'll do is I'll play it here.
I want to hear
just for you to hear,
please,
the audio on what he says, because what he says about her.
You talking about Chris Christie?
No.
The what?
The hot mic will pull up here in a second.
This is the
opening.
No, guys.
Oh.
Well, one of them is the
opening,
opening, but it's when he makes the comparison of, man, you have to listen to the. Listen, guys, just forget about it. The words is what matters. I mean, you already know what Ron's going to look like. Here.
Why should voters who are looking for an alternative to the current frontrunner, former President Trump, vote for you rather than former Governor Haley?
Well, the people of Iowa, good evening. It's great to be in Iowa to have a debate here. Donald Trump's running to pursue his issues. Nikki Haley's running to pursue her donors' issues. I'm running to pursue your issues and your family's issues and to turn this country around. I'm the only one running that's delivered on 100% of the promises that I've made. We've delivered huge victories in the state of Florida, things that Republicans have been asking for a generation. I'm also the only one running that has beaten the left time and time again. We beat the teachers union on universal school choice. We beat Soros on crime. We beat Fauci on COVID. We beat the Dems on election integrity. And I beat the left by banning China from buying land in the state of Florida. Now, Nikki Haley is running. We don't need another mealy-mouthed politician who just tells you what she thinks you want to hear just to try to get your vote, then to get in office and to do her donors' bidding. She was in another state, and she said the people of Iowa's votes need to be corrected. This is somebody that wrote in her book that Hillary Clinton inspired her to first run for office. I remember Hillary denigrating people on the Republican side as deplorables. We don't need a candidate who's going to look down on middle America. We've had enough of that. I'm the only one that's going to be able to lead this country's revival. I'm asking for your support, and I won't let you down.
Wow.
Governor DeSantis.
That was
By the way,
sick.
I loved it.
That was great.
I loved, and then there's a part where they have a back and forth where he says about Newsom. Okay, this one is actually very funny. I'm sure some of you guys heard this. Watch this.
Nikki Haley and me, I listened to all that litany of stuff. I debated the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. I thought he lied a lot. Man, Nikki Haley gives him a run for his money, and she may even be more liberal than Gavin Newsom is. I think the difference between
That's pretty solid, by the way. So, Donald Trump is campaigning for his issues. Nikki Haley is campaigning for her donors' issues. I'm campaigning for your issues.
Wow.
Whoever wrote that writer, wherever you are, high five.
Gangster.
Good for you.
He's been saying that line wherever he goes.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
I love it. I love the fact that he said that. By the way, a few different things. When it comes down to education, she was talking about education. Oh, let me tell you, I'm this with your education. Her state, as a governor, she's ranked 42 out of 50 when it comes down to education. There was other discussions about where he called her out when she's like, well, what are you talking about with Ukraine? You keep talking about Ukraine. You want us to do more money for Ukraine? And then she gives her argument and spinning at the fact that, hey, you're making Putin stronger. And then DeSantis says, even on Megyn Kelly, when she pushed you on why would you want Ukraine, because she said she wants a solution of Ukraine being part of NATO. He says, why would you do that? And then Megyn Kelly pushed, if Ukraine is part of NATO, isn't that indirectly putting U.S. at war with Russia?
Yep.
She fumbled through the answer, couldn't give it. I thought it was very effective. He says leadership is about getting things done. Stop making excuses. Then she turns from getting things done, and she says, he's just upset because his donors came to me. And he says, what difference does it matter if the donors came to me? The money.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything with issues. It just means they came to you, right? Still, she didn't answer the question that he brought up. She says, hey, that's election. She said specifically, Trump lost the election. Biden won the election. January 6th is one of the worst days in the history of America. These are things that she's talking about. She's not talking about the fact that there was any meddling or, Twitter, New York Post story, nothing.
Cheating.
That's cheating, but she didn't put that.
Gotcha.
DeSantis called her up for what she said about George Floyd, where she said, George Floyd, this is one of the worst days. And, given all that stuff that she talked about, kind of falling for the Black Lives Matter division that was taking place. At the end, when they asked the question, they said, so what do you say about Haley? He says, well, I like that she did this and she did that and she did this. Hey, Governor Haley, what do you like about Governor DeSantis? He's a good governor.
That's it.
That's it.
Huh.
And the hosts were uncomfortable. There's like a 5-second pause. Do you remember that? Rob, can you find that when she says, he's a good governor, Haley? Is that the one right there? I think that's it. Watch this here, if you can play it.
Governor DeSantis, let me ask you.
I still don't like the way
what do
she
you
handled
admire
herself.
about Governor Haley?
Well, look, I think that, at the United Nations, I did think that she spoke out strongly on some key issues, and I appreciated that. I also appreciate the state of South Carolina. My wife is a College of Charleston graduate. Her parents lived there for many, many years. And so it is a wonderful state. There's a lot of great people there. And I think to be able to have been governor there is a great achievement. And I really appreciate everyone I've gotten to meet in South Carolina.
Governor Haley, what do you admire about Governor DeSantis?
I think he's been a good governor.
Dude,
Okay.
she looks
Look at those dark
she
eyes.
looks like a wicked witch of the West,
Governor
bro.
DeSantis.
She looks like
Let me tell you
bitter
something.
inside.
This is probably going to be set off the Richter scale. This is the problem with having females in power and leadership. I'm just saying.
What are you saying, Adam?
They get super emotional. Obviously, they hate each other.
Yeah.
But he still has the ability to say, you know what, I like South Carolina. And like kind of put lipstick on a pig. She's a mean girl. She's a freaking mean girl. By the way, Mean Girls is coming out this weekend. She's a mean girl. She gets emotional. Is she smart? Is she capable? Is she tough? Sure. Does she Dick Cheney in heels? Great. Right? Does she use her heels as a machine gun? Whatever the hell the reference was.
Yeah.
But at the time where you could just be fucking nice for 2 seconds, he's a good governor. You're lying, bitch.
Even Hillary could do it.
Hillary,
Yes, exactly.
I was just gonna
That
say
means she's worse than Hillary.
Yeah.
she's worse. But do you see that? Like, dude, just look at her aura.
Wow.
Look at her persona.
Yeah.
And you know what it comes down to? When you spend 68 or what, almost $70 million on your campaign, because you're a war machine. You're a war hawk. And guess what it's starting to look like? The guy that's going to come in doesn't want war, and we're not going to try to go to war. That's the face that you make, and that's evil because she wants people to die, bro. You want war, you want people to die, and that's that angry, I'm not going to get the war that all these people are investing in.
Something else
nasty.
happens. I agree with that point 100%.
She's a nasty woman.
She's nasty.
No, about the whole war machine stuff. Something else happens when fewer and fewer and fewer people are on stage for these debates. And they're not debates. They're sound bites and responses. This isn't real, like, structured debate. But when the crowd on stage is smaller, the light shines brighter and the truth comes out because you can't stand over here. Do you remember when DeSantis was just smiling in the middle while
awkwardly smiling?
Awkwardly while the St. Louis Arch was going over him in this war between Vivek and Haley. Remember that?
Yeah.
With Christie over there chiming in from the other side, supporting Haley in her assault on Vivek. You can't do that when there's only two people on stage. You don't get up. You don't get. Hey, I'm going to take this round off, and I'm just going to sit here and smile, and I'm going to let these two people run their character assassinations or drop their sound bites on each other that they attack. All of a sudden, the truth of who you are come out, and you look at her expression, you look at what was there, you see the establishment war machine personified, and you see a measured policy wonk that I don't think is ready to be president on the other side. And a bit of a food fight. I love the fact you called it a food fight. I think it's such an appropriate.
And this is what Vivek said, by the way. This is what Vivek is predicting, which, by the way, let me know if you agree with this or not. We can process this, but go ahead.
The system wants to narrow this down to a two-horse race between Donald Trump and a puppet who they can control. And it has become increasingly clear that puppet is not a Democrat. It's not even Gavin Newsom. It's Nikki Haley. It's in our own party. Well, today, one more step in that plot unfolds. Chris Christie drops out. Next up, I'm going to make a prediction. You're actually going to see Ron DeSantis join Nikki Haley's ticket. He's going to be her VP. The whole game, it's hiding in plain sight. Whatever it takes. And this system will stop at nothing. And I mean nothing, to eliminate Donald Trump from contention. It's disgusting. But the same people who have said they're not going to actually take a principled stand against Trump's removal from the ballot, Haley and DeSantis are both in that category. Do the math, people. That's next up. Ron DeSantis says after Iowa, everybody, including Chris Christie, apparently got a phone call from Ron DeSantis. Panicked was the word that Chris Christie used. This is the way the plot's going. Ron may not know this. Ron DeSantis may not know this, but that's what his donors are going to make him do. That's what's coming next. Ron DeSantis will become Nikki's VP, whether or not Ron knows it. It's not really his choice. He's not the one in charge of that decision. And then the plot continues. We have to open our eyes and not fall into their trap. Our America First agenda cannot end. Our movement cannot end with Donald Trump when they take him out from contention. And if you think this system is going to even let this man get anywhere near the White House, we need to open our eyes. We need to do the right thing for our country. They are selling us the rope today that they're going to use to hang us tomorrow. Wow. Do not fall into the trap, people. And that's why I'm here.
Can I say one thing about this guy?
Yeah.
When it comes to being a communicator, 10 out of 10, Vivek Ramaswamy. I would say that he's the Andrew Tate of politics today. I mean, gifted, beyond teaching communicator. And when it comes down to Trump being the nominee, which I think we know it's inevitable, other than VP, Vivek, take your pick, whatever cabinet position you want, you got it. That's how good he is, and he's only 38 years old.
I mean, I was just going to ask you, if right now you had to guess.
No,
just,
guys. Isolate what he just said. Do you agree with him? The fact that DeSantis is going to drop out and be Nikki Haley's VP. Do you agree with that assessment, Tom?
I don't think I line up with that assessment. But I 100% line up with his core thought that there are bigger wheels and bigger hands moving levers in the election.
Well, I think everybody knows that, right, Tom, to your point. But everybody knows that there's stuff going on behind the scenes. It's not like, whoa, breaking news, the deep state doesn't want Trump in there. We know that. But his manner of which it happens, the mechanisms, Vivek teaming up with the lady he just got in a food fight with. I'm sorry, DeSantis teaming up with Haley. I don't see that happening. But Vivek knows some shit and seen some shit that we've never even known, like behind closed doors.
Yeah, but that's not so far-fetched. I mean, look at what Kamala crapped all over Joe Biden, like, you racist, and then the next day she's like, oh, he's the greatest.
Yeah.
It's politics, and they're all full of shit. I mean, it's a possibility. I don't think so.
Her famous attack on Kamala Harris when he said, and I don't know of a really successful woman who's, been all the way to the Senate, and she goes, "I'm right here." Remember she was yelling at them, "I'm right here." And you're right. And then later it was,
So what do you think, Tom? Let's go back to this. Do you think this is going to happen or no? Do you think DeSantis is going to drop out and go endorse Haley?
I believe DeSantis is going to drop out. I do not. I believe that his donors went to her, and that's a sign for me. I think he'll support her. Will he be on her ticket? I don't think so. I don't think she's going to have it.
So you think
exactly.
if Christie comes out, and by the way, do you have the recording for Christie, Rob? If you can just play that recording. Christie comes out, and go ahead and play that.
Don't forget she spent $68 million.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent like
when you give land to China and places like that.
Yeah,
that's what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, she spent $68 million so far, just on TV. Spent $68 million so far, $59 million by DeSantis, and we spent 12. I mean, who's punching above their weight and who's getting a return on their investment, And she's going to get smoked, and you and I both know it. She's not up to this.
She hasn't even been.
And she's still 20 points behind Trump in New Hampshire, right? Yeah. And he's still going to carry Iowa, right? Yes. Oh, I talked to DeSantis called me, petrified. That I would. He's probably getting out after Iowa. Well,
Why does Chris Christie continue to make weight jokes? I mean, how is he's punching above her weight? Trump is unfit to be president.
Yeah.
Christie, respect, bro. Yeah. Have you looked in a mirror recently? Yeah. What's with the weight jokes?
Pat, I believe there's a lot goes on with the donors. And if the donors have left...
The donuts, Chris Christie?
He
said donors.
Donors. So the donors that have left DeSantis and gone to Haley, those donors, many of them aren't just his presidential donors. They were his gubernatorial donors. Mm-hmm. And so I think the donors carry a lot of weight. And so will DeSantis begrudgingly support Haley when he drops out? I think he will. And I think there's a donor mechanism back there. But will he pledge to be her VP? I'm a hard no.
Pat, to stay on topic, just think about in the last 6 months to 12 months what DeSantis could have done. He could have been freaking Trump's VP if he had a little bit of loyalty.
Yep.
Now we're basically saying he's going to be basically Nikki Haley's potential VP. Think about the exact opposite of transcendence that Ron DeSantis has done.
What do you think?
I've been saying this since May. I mean, I've been saying this since his book came out April, May.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that.
You know where I stand with that position. But people, when DeSantis is by himself, I think he's a good guy. Mm-hmm. I think DeSantis is a good guy. Okay? I don't like Haley and I don't trust Haley. Let me rephrase I don't know her, so I can't say I don't like her or not. I don't like her approach. She comes across like I told you already, I'm better than you, and I'm, telling the waitress, hey, come here. I see her as that she's above everybody, right? I'm not a fan of that. But to me, DeSantis is probably by himself, sitting there. When you lose a championship, what do? You're like, man, what if I made that play and I would have screened and I would have done this and I didn't hustle for the ball? And why didn't I hustle for the ball? What was I thinking when I fouled the guy? I knew I had already 4 fouls and I was going to be taking on the fourth quarter with 7 minutes left. What are you thinking? What a stupid foul. You're going through you're replaying all this stuff. You as an athlete, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You do this in relationship, you do this in friendships, you do this in business, you do this in sports. He's going to go through that, and he's already doing that. And you rarely do that with others. You only do that with yourself. You don't even do that with your wife sometimes. You do it with yourself. He's done that already. But at the same time, guess what? This is the game of politics, man. I was having a conversation with a couple of my guys. Early on in my career, one time I had the most embarrassing loss ever. It was so bad that the chairman of the company in front of 1,000 people brought me up on stage. It was me and this other guy, and they were going to give the MVP. In the history of the company, this has never happened before, where they bring the loser and the winner on stage, and they make the loser give the winner the MVP. And they're trying to dig. And they know this works with me, so it's good. So I'm like, okay. So I go up there, and I'm like, who do you think? And who do you think? And who do you think? And obviously, he ends up winning the MVP. And I hand the MVP over to the guy. And I whispered to him, I said, respect to you. You outworked me this year. You get the credit for this. I said, but let's face it, bro. you and I are not the same level. For the rest of your life, people are going to forget about you. They're not going to forget about what I'm going to do.
Wow.
Went on stage, gave him the respect. I edified him. I gave him love. I salute him. I said, I love the fact that we're doing this. Came back, gave a message to our team. Guys, you guys have been fantastic. You've done your part. But let me tell you, no one has any clue what's going to happen when we go back. Went back to the group. We had a nice little meeting with them. And then we came back and killed everybody. You have to learn how to lose. It sucks. Learning how to lose sucks. It sucks. And by the way, for people like, well, you know, you don't know what you're talking about because Michael had to learn how to lose with the Detroit Pistons. And he came back and he redeemed himself. The greatest athlete of all time had to learn how to lose. So he has to go through this process of knowing how to do that and come out and still say, what loyalty do I have to Nikki Haley? Nothing. What loyalty do I have to Trump? More than Haley. Say you hate them both. This guy's done more for me than she's done for me. She's a backstabbing, manipulating. Do I really want to go behind this person? Because if he does endorse Haley, he not only loses a job in the administration, say if he wants it, but forget about the administration. You lose a shot in the future. Because if he does come out and go this way, guess what Trump's going to do? Trump's going to forgive like this, move on, and come back and edify and build him up, right? So I think DeSantis is going through that right now, and I don't know whether he's going to go and endorse Haley. I don't know if I agree with Vivek. I think the right move is step out, don't endorse anybody yet. Just keep it cool, keep it collected. Let them call you, have a private meeting with everybody, have a private meeting with Trump's camp. You know your camp's going to talk to his camp and see what you guys can work out together. And then if you are afraid of what's going to happen with America and what direction we're going, then what would it look like if you and Trump are seen on stage together?
Wow.
And you guys say stuff to each other. You know he's going to build you up. You know you're going to build him up. You know what you're going to do to America? You're going to do to America what Nikki Haley can't do, okay? That's what you're going to do. Nikki Haley's establishment. You're a hybrid. Some people think you're establishment. Some people think you're not you're anti-establishment. I think you're more Trump than you are Haley. I think that's what's going to happen, and I'd like to see that take place, but it is politics. This is an unpredictable game, and Tom makes a point with the donors. So you're going to have to know donors have a lot of control. We'll see what's going to happen there, and that's my position on this situation here.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.